Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration. Glad you could join me here today. As always, here to inspire you and enlighten you with what little wisdom I've learned in my 61 years. The older I get, the less I know. And if you're a young man, you may not understand that. But as you get older, you'll understand what I mean. There's so much to know, you're never going to know everything. And as I've said before, I wish I was a teenager again because I knew it all. Don't we all know it all when we're a teenager? As we age, we realize that there's so much to know. Today's topic, but before I begin, like and subscribe. Today's topic is going to be racism. I was a little apprehensive about talking about this, but the reason I am talking about it is because I grew up in the 60s when they had the race wars, the riots, those things. And I see how things are today I see how things really are today compared to how they were when I was a kid. Not how the media portrays it, but how it is in real life, at least in my area. When I was a kid, I was afraid of blacks or African Americans. I'm not sure what each person of race refers to be called something different. So when I was young, the proper term was blacks. And as a matter of fact, I was traveling a couple of years ago and I met a couple black men from Chicago, and that was what they preferred to be called as a race. You can call me a white, you don't have to call me a Caucasian. I've been called a cracker, a honky. I don't care, all right? It makes no difference to me. I believe when people accept themselves, it really doesn't matter what others think of them. So there's a time in my life when that probably would have pissed me off if you called me a honky. Like back in the 60s, or no, the 70s more in the 70s, okay? I would have took offense at that. And that's something else. It seems like everybody's offended today by everything. Well, guess what? In life, you're going to be offended, okay? So I'm from the white race. Maybe you're from the black race, the yellow race, I don't know, whatever colors there are. What does it matter? Italians, Mexicans, Colombians. We all have our different cultures. We all have our different beliefs and attitudes and outlooks upon life. Now, am I proud of my white heritage? I don't know if I'm proud of it or not. My race has done many atrocities throughout the centuries, but then all races have, whether it be the Chinese, the Africans, the Europeans, the Indians here. They've all had wars, they've all done terrible things. So we've all done things that are, let's say, our race has done things, all of ours have done things that, I'm having a hard time figuring out which verb to use there is correct. Done things that we're not proud of if you look back in history, because we're humans. We all do terrible things and we all do loving things. So I don't think it's any particular race, because if you look through all of them, they've done things like that. And they've done wonderful things too. Were it not for my ancestors and all of our ancestors, I would not have this great country that I live in today. That so many people act like it's such a terrible place to live. But many of you Americans need to go out and live in a third world country, and you'll see how good you got it here. You live in paradise and you don't even know it. I was the same way until I traveled the world and actually lived in a third world country for about 6 years. And then I realized how good I got it. Okay, and I experienced open discrimination, or racism if you like, down there. I was forced to pay more. I was treated differently, sometimes with contempt and derision. I can't think of the word. Badly. How about that? I didn't take offense at the race, which in this case was Latin Americans that were treating me badly. I didn't think the whole race was like that. Although I must admit, sometimes I felt like that most of them were dishonest. And that's probably not true either, because I did experience some situations. I remember once I dropped some money and somebody on a bus pointed it out to me so I would pick it up. And I used to make the joke, yeah, if you drop your billfold down there, that somebody would pick it up behind you and say, oh, gracias, adios, thank God, and feel like they were given a gift. That was bullshit though, but I was stereotyping people. See, and we all do that. We group people together. it's a habit of human nature. It's just something we do. We group people. For example, if you've been bit by a German Shepherd, or let's say you've been bit by 2 German Shepherds, you're going to be more afraid of German Shepherds. As where someone else who hasn't been bitten by them may not be afraid of them at all. So when you have problems with a certain race, or 2 or 3 people out of a race do something that you don't like, you have a tendency to group all of them together in that. And it's really ridiculous, but we all do it. We don't just do it with races, we do it with all kinds of things in our life. But back to what I originally started with, the difference now, my kids are half Spanish, but to me, I don't even see them that way, but other people can tell. But they have African-American friends. I think that's the proper term to use. I'll use that now. They have African-American friends that come over here, and they call each other the N-word, and they joke around, and I even joke with them too. And we don't think anything of it. But the things we joke around with today, you couldn't have done that back in the 60s. There was a lot of hate and fear and anger, and I was the same way until I got to be about 20 years old, because I was never around too many African Americans. And the ones I was around were they were prejudiced toward me, and I suppose I was prejudiced toward them. But the point I'm making is things have definitely improved. We're always going to have some type of racism or prejudice. That's just the way it is. It doesn't make their race bad or my race bad or that race bad. It's just the way people are. You got good people, all right, you got good whites, you got bad whites, if you want to categorize them like that. And the same with every race. But you can't categorize them, even though we do. But just recognize that you're doing that. Because I've met some wonderful people. When I first started boxing, I worked out with a lot of African Americans. And then I realized they're just like me. Some of them would take advantage of me because they knew more than I did, beat the crap out of me, and others would help me. Some of them, the guys would help me. Okay, they would really try to show me and try to work with me. So did it make any difference what color their skin was? No. And I heard someone say once, an African American, he was joking, and he said, "I'm not black." He said, "I'm brown." And that's true. It's like, really, and I'm not white either. He said, and whites aren't white either. They're kind of pink or something like that. And it's true. We use these words that really don't even line up. I have never seen a real black man. I've seen some dark African Americans, and I've never seen a real white man unless he was dead and all the blood went out of his body. So that's not even really the correct phrase to use either, but it's what we use. We get so caught up in terms, and now we have the gender thing with all these different genders. I had a dilemma the other day. I guess this is a little bit off racism. I made a sizable donation to this race, the first overall female and the first overall male. And I know a lot of the people into the gender differences or whatever it is, I don't know a lot about it, don't like that. But how do we determine? Because a woman is not physically as strong as a man in general, 90% of the time or 98% of the time, let's say. I'm not sure what the stats on that is. So I just wanted to do something good because I ran a lot of races in my life, and I wanted to give back because I got a lot out of running and doing the 5Ks, 10Ks, marathons, and triathlons and all the races I did. Fortunately, it wasn't a problem, but if we're not going to differentiate between male and female and we want everybody to be seen as the same, how do you do that? Do I just give overall monetary reward to the first overall male and the first overall person, or the first 2 overall people? More than likely it's going to be males, and it was from what I could see from the window. So I wasn't there when they gave the awards out. I don't understand what the dilemma is about that. Maybe if someone's watching this and they're into the gender thing, they can tell me, because how do you differentiate between a male and a female if we don't want to be identified? Or if someone says, I want to be, okay, if someone was identified as, or he said, I identify as a man, and it was a woman, or I don't know what the names they use are, and he came in, or she, or whatever, they came in second. Okay, do they get that prize as a man, or does it go to the next woman? Is that fair to the woman? It's even confusing to talk about it. There's a reason we say male and female, because they're different. And I think, and like I said, someone can enlighten me about this. Are they wanting to say that male and female is not different, that we're the same, and they don't want to be identified by their gender or by their birth gender, or whether they have a penis or a vagina? I'm not quite sure how all that works, but it really seems to be confusing to me. Sometimes I think we need a war just so we got some bigger fish to fry, as they say. No, I don't want a war because I have 5 boys who are of war age. But the point I'm making is sometimes things are going so good in a country that we look for things to be upset about or try to fix that don't really need fixing. I don't really care what you identify yourself as. I don't care what you do in the bedroom. If you want to feel like you're a woman, a man, a boy, or whatever, it matters not to me. But I don't understand why I should be expected to change my language because it offends you. Maybe it offends me to change my language or to call you something that I've been raised up to believe that you're not. There's just so many different ways of looking at it. And as I said, I don't care how you want to live your life, as long as it doesn't affect me or impose upon my rights to live my life free and happy as I want to. Do what you want to do. Really doesn't matter, and I don't think it's anybody's business but your own. I believe everyone needs to contribute to society, and otherwise we would all pass away. None of us are independent. We all depend on each other for things. I would not have heat if it weren't for the electric company and all the people that work there. I would not have water if it were not for the water company. So we all depend on others. I would not have a car. I would not have this video camera. I would not have my YouTube channel. All these people in the world help these things, help each other. We all help each other. We're all interconnected and interdependent. So there's no independent people, as they say. I'm an independent woman, or I'm an independent man. I understand what they mean, but really none of us are independent. We all need each other, regardless of whatever race you are, whatever country you're from, whatever language we speak. We all need each other. That's all I have for today. Thanks for joining me. If you'd like to get my help personally, or if you have any comments, leave a comment in the comment section. I'd like to hear your point of view on this. And have a great day. See you tomorrow.